Top 10 most powerful graphics cards of 2014. At number 10 we have the Nvidia Geforce GTX 770. This card has 1,536 CUDA cores and is priced at $280 USA and 221 UK pounds. In Bioshock Infinite the benchmark was 52 FPS. All these tests are on at 1440p, I just want to mention that before I continue. At Battlefield 4 we have 47 FPS, Medal of Honor Warfighter 43 FPS, and Crysis 3 33 FPS, with an average frame rate of all of the 4 games at 44 frames per second. At number 9 we have the AMD Radeon R9 290. This card has 2,560 stream cores. The price in the USA is $370 and in the UK it's 280 UK pounds. In Bioshock Infinite we have 58 frames per second, Battlefield 4 we have 55 frames per second, Medal of Honor Warfighter 53 frames per second, and in Crysis 3 we have 39 frames per second. This leaves us with an average of 51 frames per second throughout all 4 of the games. Moving up at number 8 we have the AMD Radeon R9 290X. This card has a few more cores than the 290 and it has 2,816 stream cores. The typical price in the USA is $450 and it being £280 in the UK. It has and gets 62 frames per second in Bioshock Infinite, 68 FPS in Battlefield 4, 57 FPS in Medal of Honor Warfighter, and 41 FPS in Crysis 3, with an average of 57 FPS across all 4 games. Moving up at number 7 we have the GeForce GTX 780. This card has 2,304 CUDA cores and is typically found at $440 in the USA and 347 UK pounds. This card is able to achieve 73 FPS in Bioshock Infinite, 56 FPS in Battlefield 4, 56 FPS in Medal of Honor Warfighter, and 40 FPS in Crysis 3, with a total and average of 56 FPS across all 4 games. Now moving up to number 6 we have the GeForce GTX Titan. This card has 2,688 cores and typically is found in the United States at $1,000. The price in the UK is £887. The average frame rate for Bioshock Infinite is 74 frames per second. In Battlefield 4 we have 58 frames per second. Medal of Honor Warfighter we have 60 FPS, and then for Crysis 3 we have 43 FPS, with an average across all 4 games being 59 frames per second. Moving up to the GeForce GTX 780 Ti, we have 2,880 cores. These are CUDA cores, and in the US it's typically you'll find this at $590 and in the UK at £470. In Bioshock Infinite we have 76 FPS, Battlefield 4 we have 64 FPS, Medal of Honor Warfighter 65 FPS, and finally in Crysis 3 we have 44 FPS with an average of 62 across all 4 games. Moving up at number 4 we have the GeForce GTX 690. This card has 3,072 CUDA cores and is typically found in the US for $670 or £677 in the UK. For Bioshock Infinite we're able to achieve 78 FPS, Battlefield 4 at 74 FPS, Medal of Honor Warfighter at 73 FPS, and Crysis 3 at 51 FPS, with an average, again, across all 4 games, being 69 frames per second. Moving up to number 3, we have the AMD Radeon HD 7990. This is an older card, but without a doubt, it does perform actually really well. This card has 4,096 stream cores, and typically found in the USA for $600, or £760 in the UK. This card is able to achieve 85 frames per second in Bioshock Infinite, 90 frames per second in Battlefield 4, 82 frames per second in the Medal of Honor Warfighter, and finally 54 frames per second in Crysis 3, with an average again of 78 frames per second. Now moving up to the top kind of tier cards available now. So at number 2 we have the Nvidia Geforce GTX Titan Z. This card has a whopping 5,760 cores and is priced at a very high $3,000 or £2,100 in the UK. For Bioshock Infinite it's able to achieve 122 FPS, Battlefield 4 114 FPS, Medal of Honor Warfighter 109 FPS, and finally for Crysis 3 we have 71 FPS, with an average of 104 frames per second. Then moving up to the fastest card currently, at number 1 we have the AMD Radeon 295 X2. This is the water cooled card, and to be honest it's a pretty big card, but AMD they totally have the fastest card on the planet at the moment, and this card is actually retailing at $1,000, so it's a lot better in terms of value when you compare this to the Titan Z. So $1,000 in the USA or £949 in the UK. For Bioshock Infinite, we're able to achieve 112 FPS, Battlefield 4 123 FPS, Medal of Honor Warfighter 113 FPS, and then in Crysis 3 72 FPS, with an average of 105, just 1 FPS higher than the Titan Z. Anyway guys, thank you for checking out this video. If you want to see how I kind of got the results and I've kind of calculated all these results, there is a download in the description for you guys to get this table, so you can see where I've got all these results from. Yeah, kind of check it for yourself. There's some links there to the websites where I got the results. And yeah, just remember all of these tests are being run at 1440p resolution. So if you guys run the games at say 1080p, well, as you can see here, the figure's just a little bit lower, since 1440p is a little bit more demanding than 1080p. Anyway guys, thank you for watching. Please feel free to like, comment and also subscribe. And yeah, thank you very much for watching. Goodbye.